Claire is from the OECD, and she's head of innovation policies within the oceans. But more importantly for me than that, there are two key reports that she's been fairly instrumental in authoring over the last 3 years, 4 years, I imagine. One of them is a report on the blue economy, which was issued in 2016. But more recently, there's a report on looking at innovation within the blue economy and how there needs to be an innovation and networks created to actually support the targets that you see as being key to the future of the ocean economy, a sustainable ocean economy in 2030, which is the key part. So I'm just going to ask you just to explain, in case, just as a base point here, first of all, the 2016 Ocean Economy Report. It's quite impressive, the amount that you think the ocean economy is going to be worth between now and 2030.
Thanks very much for that. Indeed, for us, the ocean economy has two main pillars, and that's an important finding for an organization like the OECD, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. It's an international organization. We look at many sectors, and for the first time back in 2013, 2014, we looked at the ocean economy as a whole. And for us, the ocean economy has two pillars: ocean industries and ecosystem services, marine ecosystem services. But we're a statistical organization, and we need to actually be able to count things. At the start of the project, we decided to focus on 10 ocean industries as a proxy for this much larger ocean economy. And you're absolutely right. Some of the numbers we found were quite impressive. For 2010 as a base year, we found that these 10 ocean industries, including oil and gas, marine aquaculture, capture fisheries, coastal tourism, represented already 1.5 trillion US dollars. That represents more or less the size of the Canadian economy. Via some modeling, we actually projected for these 10 sectors potential economic growth, and we found a doubling of the global value added for these 10 ocean industries, amounting then to 3 trillion USD. That approximates the size of the German economy. And here we are only talking about 10 leading ocean industries. I have to say that was quite a shock to quite a number of policymakers that are not all very much aware of the value coming from ocean industries. Based on that work, we found that innovation will clearly play a very important role for the future and the sustainability of the ocean industries as well as for the marine ecosystems. So that really leads then into our current work on innovation. And I'll be very happy to share with you some findings from our latest report that came out just a few months ago. It was released and launched in Portugal, one other ocean champion like Norway, on rethinking innovation for a sustainable ocean economy. So with this, maybe I can go in and present some of the findings. So I don't have slides, so bear with me about this. We heard this morning at the Ocean Leadership Conference the importance of actually finding solutions. And solutions can only be found by actually building on very strong scientific foundations. The work that NOAA is doing currently is crucial in terms of data gathering, in particular, to feed into further innovations. At the OECD, we are looking very specifically at this growing importance of science technology in actually improving the sustainable economic development of our ocean. We really have this economic angle, and that's something that we want to pursue. Advances in digitalization, artificial intelligence, new materials will be really game changers. We heard that, and there are a number of actors here at North Shipping that are actually providing some interesting examples of the uses of these technologies. And we really think there will be game changers in the next decade. This leads to rethinking in many areas. And as part of our current work, we looked at very specific areas for where we see a lot of innovation, mainly on greening ocean industries, on innovation in how organizations in the ocean economy are cooperating, and innovations in how we are measuring not ocean data, but measuring the size of the ocean economy. That's crucial for policymakers. They need evidence to actually base their decisions. So the first one concerns the greening innovations in ocean industries. We heard already quite a bit at North Shipping about green ships, but beyond many of the advances that are pushed upon the shipping industry by new environmental regulations, we are seeing quite a number of win-win outcomes to come for both for ocean business and the ocean environment. We led a number of case studies with quite a number of stakeholders around the world and looked, for instance, at water ballast management. We looked at open sea aquaculture, and we looked at quite a number of different applications of innovations in different sectors, where we found indeed that very often the economic gains from these innovations, when you resolve some of the technical barriers, will actually bring many spillovers. There are a number of examples that we are seeing in industries right now where we do see this win-win situation. Obviously, at the bottom line here, you'll need more science very much in order to monitor some of these activities, but I'll come back to that. Because another type of innovation that we are seeing relates directly to the way the organizations are cooperating in the ocean economy. For many years, scientists and industries have been working together, obviously. But for the past 5 years, ever since we launched our first report on the ocean economy, we've seen a transformation, I would say, of a number of organizations, particularly public research centers, are actually been activating with industries new innovation networks in the ocean economy. We conducted a survey of 10 innovation networks based around the world, Halifax, Southampton in the UK, here in Norway with the Exposed Aquaculture Center. So 10 different innovation networks that are all quite young, less than 5 years old, where we're seeing the benefits of actually putting together new cooperative mechanisms between industries as well as public research centers and universities. What's new in this environment is this focus on the ocean that never was as important as it's been demonstrated in quite a number of countries. And what we're seeing also are technology transfers to developing countries, whereas some of these innovation networks are sort of building up bridges to actually make sure that some of the technologies that are presented here can be then transferred to developing countries, building export markets along the way.
Can I just ask a question there about the actual the idea of the networks? When you're looking at the national networks, are there some key ingredients that you find are prerequisites for a successful network, like a university, a good breadth of economy? What are there some sort of key ingredients you could tick box for? Yeah. This is what you need to have a good ocean economy.
Typically, you need first willing organizations. That's for sure. You need also, indeed, some academic clout to actually build up the capacity. You want to bring in the scientists in your projects, and you want to have also the possibility to actually support startups and SMEs down the road. Many of these very small companies are bringing ideas to the broader industry. So the recipes are quite evident, I would say, in terms of actually developing the networks. What's very challenging over the next, I would say, 4 years for many of these networks will be to actually secure the right types of intellectual property protections. It's difficult when you are having many different organizations actually work together. What's interesting is to see the enthusiasm that we are having in many of these networks and the strong support of public authorities to actually support the emergence and the continuation of these networks as long as they can actually show.
Because I've seen some of the
concrete
networks that
benefits.
are emerging, some of them can be supported by sort of state backing. Some of them are very academic, some of them are more driven by commercial interests, some of them may be more focused on the aquaculture or mariculture industry, some of them more shipping and innovation within the traditional shipping spheres.
Exactly. And what we're seeing right now is that a lot of the networks that are appearing are also industry-led. And I think that's an indication that indeed industries are seeing a great potential and need to expand, I would say, their own network, linking with the IT industry, linking with scientists in order to actually prepare the innovations of tomorrow. That's for sure. There are quite a number of different models, but all of them actually have this ocean objectives quite high. Maybe as a final point and as a final area for innovation that we have seen actually accelerating in just 4 years is this issue of monitoring and measuring the ocean economy. What happens is that if you can measure things better, well, you can manage them better. And that's true also for ocean industries, and that's true for ecosystems, obviously. What we have been seeing is that many countries around the world have set up industry surveys, are looking at actually trying to get a better sense of how big are their ocean industries. For Norway, that's quite evident. For you, it's a large chunk, I would say, of the economy. For many other countries around the world, they're just starting to untap some of the opportunities linked with ocean industries. And as part of this exercise, we are seeing quite a number of countries that are aligning in terms of defining better some of the sectors, as well as making progress on measuring marine ecosystems. Typically, Portugal is going now through a second version of a satellite account for the ocean. That's crucial, as it actually links directly some of the ocean economic activities with national accounts and provides good information for the policymakers. We are seeing efforts going on in Australia. Ireland was mentioned already as part of getting access to reliable ocean data on their exclusive economic zones. But I have to say Ireland is also one of the top actors in terms of actually putting together statistics on their ocean industries and marine ecosystems. So we are seeing here new types, I would say, of measurements that are actually improving our knowledge base on the ocean economy and ocean industries. And as we look forward to the next 10 years, we will crucially need that type of information to actually steer some of the decisions to come in international bodies as well as at national level. So all these three types, I would say, of areas for innovation, green technologies, measurement of the ocean economy, as well as new ways to collaborate via innovation networks in the ocean economy, are well detailed in this latest report, Rethinking Innovation for a Sustainable Ocean Economy. We are right now working with quite a number of governments around the world in order to improve better the evidence on the ocean economy. And I thank very much the organizers for having us here so that we can actually share also with industry some of the recent findings that we came up with, again, involving many of the people actually already in the room. So thank you very much for this. And
Can I just a couple of questions then, because
go ahead.
you're talking here about the ocean economy, and we hear about a lot of opportunities, and you referenced the 10 particular economies in the Ocean Economy Report of 2016 that you think were the ones that would be, or the focused on anyway, as giving the value, the economic value for 2030. But what we have to look at is the sustainability of the oceans. So there's one thing to say, here's an ocean economy, isn't it great, we can make all this money out of it if we just go away and do this. How confident are you personally that what you're laying out can be achieved sustainably?
So that's the major challenge, and that's where industry comes in. Indeed, to actually be as responsible as possible in order to make sure that at the end of the day, many of their activities become more sustainable, more environmentally friendly, I would say. The projections that we made were based on business as usual, meaning basically that at this stage, we don't think that if you project beyond 2030, many of these activities will actually remain profitable. Typically, we have aquaculture that's been really developing fast at industrial scale. We are seeing here the need and positive steps for many innovations that would make this very important industry for the world in terms of protein to actually become more sustainable. But that means that for all these industries that I mentioned, we need to accelerate in terms of the innovation landscape, in terms of the projects, in terms of actually being able to measure the impacts of these industries on the environment. And what's very promising, and that's something that I keep hearing here at North Shipping, is that quite a number of companies are taking steps to do this. And where I see a perfect connection is having these industries talk with scientists in order to make sure that everybody gets on the same wavelength. So.
Good. Thank you very much, because that is a perfect way for me to introduce our next speaker. But first, can I